Are you able to resolve this issue? I might even think about marrying you if you correctly answer all the questions. The company's summer celebration took place on a hot August evening. The CEO's daughter began to complain to me after drinking too much. It seems that she didn't like that a junior high school graduate like me was employed by this company. She therefore made the decision to test me with some difficult inquiries. She remarked, obviously intoxicated, seems to enjoy watching me struggle. You're only a junior high school graduate, so you can't really solve them. I only answered, sorry, but I don't think I can live up to your expectations, observing her derisive face. When she heard the truth about me, her face froze in shock. I'm now unsure of the prize I ought to request from her. Noah is my name. I work as a regular office worker for a reputable Kanagawa corporation. I am currently 23 years old and have worked for this company for 8 years. I'm ashamed to say that I never attended high school, much less college. Stated differently, junior high school is my highest level of education. Sincerely, I also desire to go high school or maybe college. However, I couldn't afford it at the moment. Noah, back in my first year of junior high, my homeroom teacher, Mr. Taylor, informed me that the trip agency had called earlier. I was one of 5 siblings in a big family at the time. I looked after my siblings every day because my parents were constantly busy running a well-known neighborhood bakery. For once, I wanted to give my parents, who have always worked so hard for us, a chance to unwind and enjoy themselves together. In light of this, my siblings and I gradually gathered money in order to surprise my parents with a trip. I had no idea that this would be the last time we said our goodbyes. Just before lunch finished that day, Mr. Taylor rushed over to me in a panic, telling me that my parents had been in an accident while traveling. My folks were traveling in a cab when it was involved in a collision. My siblings, who were supposed to be in daycare, were already at the hospital when I hurried there. Our relatives who had picked them up appeared very concerned when they saw me. After that, I was shown to a room where my parents were lying with their faces covered as they were in a television play. I was unable to really comprehend what I was seeing because the scene felt so surreal. 2 dead bodies, motionless like mannequins, were all that was left of us after a few moments of laughing and eating together. This isn't possible, I muttered. It's because I organized this trip. As I fell to the ground, I muttered those words. My siblings and my parents had been separated by the trip I had organized. With that in mind, I cried and apologized as I automatically gave my siblings hugs. I really apologize. All of this is my fault. At the same time, a sense of responsibility washed over me. I was the only one who could protect my siblings now. What would happen to my young brothers and sisters? That thought filled me with a resolve to stand strong and support them. After the funeral, the remaining issue was, what will happen to us kids? Since both of my parents were only children, we had no uncles or aunts to turn to. As a result, the only people who could take us in were our grandparents. However, since they were quite elderly, my siblings and I had no choice but to enter a care facility. It would have been unrealistic to expect our elderly grandparents to look after my younger brothers and sisters, so going to the facility was an inevitable outcome. Even so, the greatest relief was that my siblings and I were able to stay together in the same facility. From my first year of middle school, I spent 3 years studying intensely at the facility. At school, I ranked at the top of my grade and was even told during career counseling that I could get a recommendation to one of the best public high schools in the prefecture. However, when I declined the offer, my homeroom teacher, Mr. Thompson, looked completely shocked. With your academic performance, a recommendation is definitely possible, you know. Thank you, but my decision about my future hasn't changed. I bowed my head to the astonished Mr. Thompson and replied. Over the past 3 years, Mr. Thompson had repeatedly encouraged me to pursue high school education, but my resolve never wavered. I continued to write employment, on the career planning forums placed before me. I want to make sure my younger siblings can continue their education in place of our late parents, I explained. With my current academic performance, I'd heard I could get into this company. I know about your parents passing away early, but I don't think you need to sacrifice yourself like this. It's not a sacrifice at all, I said. I just don't want to be separated from my siblings. I see. So, employment is in that case. Let me list some companies that offer distance learning support while you work at the facility. There was also a foster care system, and younger children could sometimes be taken in by foster families. That might have been a happy option, but my siblings told me they didn't want to be apart from me. Because of that, I decided not to pursue high school and instead focused on finding a way for all 5 of us to stay together. That decision led me to this job. With Mr. Thompson's support, I graduated middle school and left my hometown to work at the company where I'm currently employed. The company had a strong focus on hiring people from rural areas, and many of my colleagues were also high school graduates, which was a great comfort. While working, I also used the company's distance learning system to earn certifications and qualifications. By the time I turned 20, my younger siblings had grown older and started taking on part-time jobs to help support our household, which eased the burden on me. Big brother, I'll be late for dinner tonight because I have club activities at school. That was my sister, who was 2 years younger than me, speaking. After saying that, she put on her shoes and checked the time. Got it. I'll be home late too because I have a test for my high school courses. Don't worry about it, big brother. Don't push yourself too hard with work and studying. Okay, you're one to talk. You've been busy with club activities lately. Don't worry about making lunch every day if it's too much. It's fine. You're working so hard instead of going to college for us, so I want to help however I can. Well, you're helping plenty by tutoring me. I'm grateful for that. I expressed my gratitude to my sister, who smiled in response. Currently, I'm attending a night school for distance learning provided by my company, which technically makes me a high school student like my sister. Though my formal education still lists me as a junior high school graduate, the program includes content for university preparation, making it quite rigorous. Because of this, I often ask my sister, who is a current high schooler, to help me study. Feeling guilty, I apologize profusely, but she just smiles happily. Big brother, you're taking it easy today, huh? Good morning, big brother. After seeing my sister off, my younger siblings who attend junior high school and elementary school start waking up. Once I see them all off, I lock the house and head to the nearest station. As always, this daily routine, though simple, is the happiest part of my life because it's when I get to spend time with my family. But upon arriving at the company, I noticed the department was unusually lively today. Some employees were gathered in front of the manager's office, chatting, while others whispered nearby. It was a sight unlike the usual mornings. What's going on? I asked a colleague standing nearby. Ah, good morning, Noah. Good morning. So, what's happening? Well, you know how the new hires are starting next month, right? Yes, the induction ceremony just ended, and today's the day they find out which department they'll be assigned to, isn't it? I'd approached a colleague who had joined the company the same year as me but was older, and he nodded, showing me a document. It was the latest issue of the company newsletter. The newest issue included photos and names of this year's new recruits. Today was the day their department assignments would be announced, and after joint training, they'd officially join their teams next month. As I curiously browsed the company newsletter, my colleague opened a particular page and pointed to it. There, I saw the name of a woman with a familiar last name. Moore? That's the same last name as our CEO. Is she a relative? No. Apparently she's the CEO's daughter. What? Yeah, and it seems she'll be joining our department next month. She's apparently an elite who graduated from the University of Tokyo. But why is she joining as a regular employee? from what I know, wouldn't it be different for someone whose family? Usually they come in as executives or something like that, but apparently she's starting as a regular employee to gain experience before eventually taking over the company. My colleague made a face that showed how tedious he found the situation. The other employees seemed to feel the same, their expressions full of unease. It was likely because they knew they'd have to tread carefully around her, given her status as the CEO's daughter. A situation straight out of a drama. At the time, I couldn't help but view the situation objectively, as if it were someone else's story. But little did I know that the day I would be swept up in the chaos caused by the CEO's daughter was fast approaching. A month later, just as the rumors said, several new hires were assigned to our department. They all looked nervous, dressed in suits, some of which were so new they squeaked. Among them, one woman stood out. Her suit looked completely natural on her. She wore a gray pantsuit with a polished blouse, exuding professionalism. This had to be the rumored CEO's daughter. "Nice to meet you. I'm Ashley." Her confident manner as she handed out business cards left everyone around stunned. She was strikingly beautiful, the kind of person who perfectly embodied the word elegance. A subtle, unfamiliar fragrance from her long hair added to her charm. Oh, nice to meet you. I'm Noah, from the same department. Thank you, I look forward to working with you." I couldn't help but be captivated by her beauty the first time I saw her. I felt my face flush with embarrassment as I found myself unable to even look directly at her. I felt pathetic for reacting that way. Her refined features gave the impression of someone strong-willed. However, in reality, she was quiet and reserved. However, her true nature began to reveal itself about 2 months after she joined the company. See, the manual says this is how it should be done. I disagree. This is how I would do it. That approach ignores the customer's perspective. Looking at the materials in front of me, I sighed and glanced at Ashley. The once quiet Ashley had grown more confident as she got used to the job, frequently asserting her opinions. This wasn't just directed at me. She treated other employees the same way. According to her, the department's methods were inefficient. Initially, her reserved demeanor earned her praise from colleagues, but now her innate strong-willed nature, combined with the elegance of a princess, was beginning to resurface. What made matters worse was her unwavering confidence rooted in statements like, "I graduated from the University of Tokyo with excellent grades, so my approach is guaranteed to succeed." It goes without saying that her bold declarations left the rest of us groaning. Our department handles sales, so maintaining good relationships with clients is crucial. Over the years, our managers have refined the processes through trial and error, improving customer service and securing long-term contracts. But Ashley wanted to change the manual to fit her methods. Her approach prioritized profit and efficiency over customer satisfaction, which risked breaking contracts. Although Neville, our department head, repeatedly rejected her proposals, Ashley refused to back down, deepening the rift between her and the team. "Hey Noah, I can't seem to get through to Ashley. Can you step in and guide her?" It was only recently that my colleague asked me to take on this role, and that's how I ended up becoming her mentor. "Noah, are you listening?" "Sorry, I was just working on some documents." This is exactly why I can't stand this. Using these outdated materials is such a waste of time." That's not true. Our next client prefers paper documents because they find them easier to understand. That's exactly what's outdated. This is why junior high school dropouts just don't get it. She placed the materials I had prepared on the desk with a dismissive attitude. Even though I technically outtrained her, Ashley rarely used formal language when speaking to me. On the contrary, she often spoke down to me with snide remarks like this. Since being assigned to our department, Ashley's reputation had taken a nosedive. "Modern trends are the best way to go." That was her catchphrase. However, her methods didn't suit this department, where most of our clients were older and valued traditional approaches. Other colleagues had tried to point this out to her, but her pride seemed to make her resistant to feedback. Above all, her pride as a graduate of the University of Tokyo meant she had no interest in listening to advice from people like me or my colleagues, who came from lesser educational backgrounds. Even after she became one of my subordinates, dealing with her continued to be a daily struggle. This isn't going anywhere, I thought to myself, so I told her, I'm going to take a quick break, and left the meeting room. At the smoking area, some of my colleagues, concerned about me, struck up a conversation. So, how's it going with Ashley? It's tough. She's not entirely wrong about some things, so I can't just dismiss her outright. Yeah, I get that. But you're still her supervisor. I know, but I'd rather avoid causing conflict. Besides, if we're talking credentials, she's clearly more accomplished than I am. When I spoke hesitantly, my colleague, perhaps noticing my fatigue, gave me a reassuring pat on the shoulder. Did I really look that exhausted? By the way, Neville mentioned that there's going to be a summer party with another department next month. Really? Yeah, it seems like they booked a place at a restaurant. It's a good time since the new recruits will have settled in by then. At this company, instead of holding welcome parties for new employees, we have summer gatherings. The reason is that by summer, mid-career hires and new graduates have usually settled into their roles. While we've had many summer gatherings before, they're typically held within individual departments. However, this time, it was a joint event with another department, which made me a bit uneasy. Ashley was already receiving unpleasant looks from people in our department. If she behaved the same way elsewhere, it might only make her even more disliked. I thought about this but chose not to say anything. Instead, I decided to focus on preparing materials for the upcoming meeting. With that in mind, I completely forgot about my earlier worries. August arrived. The period leading up to mid-August saw relentless scorching heat, with one sweltering day after another. On one such day, the much-talked-about joint summer party was held. The venue was a large private room at a restaurant bustling with dozens of attendees. Since I don't drink, I sipped on oolong tea while chatting with my manager, Robert. Knowing about my responsibilities at home, Robert kindly suggested, "Feel free to take some leftovers home for your brothers and sisters." Unlike the tense atmosphere at work, the presence of alcohol created a relaxed and cheerful vibe, with everyone chatting animatedly about both work and personal topics. A few colleagues stopped by to greet me, exchanged light-hearted conversations, and then moved on. As I entertained these interactions, I helped myself to some raw fish, a luxury I don't usually get to enjoy. This is pretty expensive. I wish I could let my siblings have some of it too. I thought to myself as I ate. My thoughts drifted to the family waiting for me at home. Glancing across the room, I noticed a group of new hires sitting together, drinking. Among them, Ashley stood out, positioned at the center of the group. She was chatting animatedly with her peers, laughing loudly as she downed drink after drink. It was a stark contrast to her demeanor at work. Her guard seemed to be down, likely thanks to the alcohol. Ashley appeared to be in high spirits, enthusiastically discussing work-related topics with her fellow recruits. She was smiling in a way I'd never seen at work, showing expressions that made her seem like any other young person her age. If only she could show that smile in the office. I was thinking that when suddenly her voice rang out louder than usual. "Hey, listen. My department is the worst." "What?" "Seriously. Yeah, the work is so outdated and the systems are ancient. Can you believe it, in this day and age?" In the relaxed atmosphere of the party, Ashley's complaints echoed loudly. It's understandable for people to vent during social gatherings, especially where alcohol is involved. However, Ashley kept glancing toward our department's table as she loudly aired her grievances to her peers. The colleague sitting next to me furrowed his brow and whispered, "Do you think Ashley's drunk?" "Probably. But if Neville hears about this, it could be bad." "Yeah, it could. But then again, she's the CEO's daughter. Maybe she thinks she's untouchable. My colleague glanced toward Neville and the other department heads who were nearby. They appeared to be keeping things under control, pouring drinks and trying to ensure everyone stayed composed. Yet Ashley continued her loud complaints, drawing glances from people around her. Senior staff keep looking over, but she doesn't seem to notice. Yeah, honestly, it's getting pretty uncomfortable sitting near this. As we exchanged uneasy remarks and felt the atmosphere in the room grow tense, I began to worry about how things were unfolding. Ashley, you've had a bit too much to drink. The voice came from Megan, a senior colleague seated near me. She stood up with a glass of water and walked over to Ashley. She was the same person who had previously asked me to take over as Ashley's mentor. To be honest, both I and my colleagues sitting beside me knew that Megan didn't have the best relationship with Ashley. Sure, this is a drinking party, but you do realize it's still an extension of work, right? What's your problem? Hearing that, I turned to look at them again. The new recruits sitting with Ashley all glared at Megan, seemingly annoyed by her comment. Even so, Megan handed Ashley the glass of water, her composed demeanor contrasting with the rising tension of the summer party. I was surprised by Megan's bold move, especially since I hadn't mustered the courage to intervene myself. But then, I remembered Ashley was my responsibility now. With that thought, I stood up to support Megan. Unfortunately, this didn't go over well. Ashley and everyone else, this party is also meant to welcome you new hires. While it's a social gathering, please consider what you say. Why is Noah the one saying this? Well, as your mentor, I felt it was important to point out that you might have had a bit too much to drink. Ah, you're so annoying, Noah. With that, Ashley downed the remainder of her beer in one gulp. Even though she could hold her alcohol, the number of empty bottles around her made it clear she'd gone overboard. You should stop around here. I stepped closer to Ashley to offer another warning. However, she stared straight at me, her gaze sharp, as if she was on the verge of saying something. Something felt off as I thought that and moved closer. She suddenly grabbed my arm and forcefully pulled me into a shoulder embrace. Her previously angry expression transformed into a sly, grinning face in an instant. The move was classic drunk behavior. I've only attended a few business dinners as part of work. However, Ashley's behavior was strikingly similar to how drunk superiors acted when I had to help them into taxes. What's your deal? Just because you're my superior, you think you can boss me around? You're barely older than me, aren't you? And yet you talk down to me like you're so much better. Well, as your mentor. Oh please, don't act like you're not looking down on me. You're all just laughing at me behind my back, thinking, what's a Tokyo University graduate doing here being mentored by a middle school graduate? It's the worst. I've never belittled your education or you, Ashley. Why would you make such an accusation? It was true that we were both 23 years old, but I had years of work experience on her. Still, Ashley, clearly upset by this, turned even redder and yelled at me, don't act like it's not true. You're just a middle school graduate who can't think critically. So all you can do is cling to old-fashioned methods. I don't want to hear lectures about customers from such an outdated department. Honestly, aren't you the one looking down on us? What? I don't want to hear that from a middle school graduate. Sure, I may be a middle school graduate, but I have more work experience than you, and so do my colleagues. If you keep acting this condescending without understanding, you're failing as a professional. Hearing this, Ashley's face, which had been flushed with anger, shifted into a more serious expression. She took a deep breath, as if to calm herself, then faced me directly and said something shocking. All right, Noah, if you're going to talk so big, let's see how qualified you really are. I heard you're a middle school graduate. Did you cheat your way into this company? What? I couldn't tell if she was being serious or joking, but her accusation left me stunned. Maybe you paid someone off or used connections. Backdoor admissions happen, you know. Don't you realize that's fraud? No, of course not. I didn't do anything like that. Really? Then why are you so confident for a middle school graduate? You seem awfully sure of yourself. Did you bribe HR or something? What on earth was she talking about? Even though I hadn't been drinking, my head started to achy like I was hungover. I didn't cheat. I passed the exams fair and square. Impossible. This company's entrance exams are notoriously hard. If you're so confident, why don't you take this year's test? With that, Ashley handed me the tablet she had spread out on the table. Displayed on the screen was the company's entrance exam for university graduates. What was she thinking, challenging me with this? While I hesitated, trying to make sense of the situation, I'd overheard her peers whispering behind her. It seemed that this year's entrance exam had been particularly challenging, and everyone had been talking about it. Ashley, proud of her high score, had been showing off the materials to everyone. My manager and colleagues looked visibly anxious about the situation. They probably wanted to intervene, but were hesitant, fearing the consequences might fall back on them. As I silently examined the test on the tablet, Ashley leaned in close and spoke to me in a soft voice. If you manage to get all the answers right, I'll make you my husband. I'll even welcome you into the family as my groom, and you'll be a candidate for CEO. Ashley spoke in an overly sweet voice, almost as if she were trying to tempt me. However, her expression was completely at odds with her sweet tone. It was a cold, terrifying look of disdain, as if her confident face were saying, "There's no way you can solve this, right?" When I placed the tablet on the table and began writing, Ashley burst into delighted laughter. What? Oh, your name? Well, of course, you have to at least write your name for it to count as a test, right? She then laughed loudly, her tone exaggerated and mocking. I waited patiently for her laughter to die down, then responded in a loud voice of my own. Sorry, but I don't think I'll meet your expectations here. I'm done. As I handed the tablet back to her, Ashley stared at the text on the screen, her expression turning to one of complete confusion. Her wide, beautiful eyes froze in disbelief, and the new hires behind her leaned in all at once to peek at the tablet. Wait, what? Isn't this all correct? Yeah, it matches Ashley's answers perfectly. How is this possible? Noah is just a middle school graduate. How could he solve these? Ignoring Ashley, who was still frozen in disbelief, the new hires began bombarding me with questions all at once. Scratching my cheek in embarrassment, I noticed how their previously mocking gazes had turned into looks of respect. Why do you ask? Well, that's because I was the one who created this test. What? Even though it was so difficult that we struggled with it as university graduates. Hearing their surprise, I decided to explain. While working at this company, I had been pursuing qualifications through distance learning. If I had attended high school, my academic abilities would have been strong enough to gain admission to a university like Waseda, even if Tokyo University might have been a stretch. More, the CEO personally requested me to create the questions for this year's new graduate entrance exam. It seemed he intended to make the test especially challenging, given that his own daughter would be taking it, ensuring only the most capable candidates succeeded. Yes, I may be the same age as all of you, but after losing my parents, I attended a distance learning school where I consistently maintained the top rank. That was crucial because I needed the tuition waiver. As I spoke, I walked toward Ashley, who remained frozen in place, unable to process what she had just learned. She seemed unable to process what was happening, perhaps due to disbelief or the alcohol clouding her thoughts. She kept mumbling phrases like, "Why? This doesn't make sense." Academic credentials are important, but what matters most is building trust with people. If you only chase after what's visible, you'll miss out on what truly matters. Not wanting to escalate things or cause any more trouble, I quietly informed the organizer before leaving the event. It felt like I was escaping. I don't know what happened at the summer party after that, but when I returned home and gave my siblings the leftovers, the rare indulgence of alcohol made me fall asleep almost immediately. Unfortunately, I caught a terrible cold the next day. After notifying my company, I went to the hospital for medicine and spent the next 3 days resting as my siblings took care of me. When I finally returned to work, I couldn't help but feel awkward after what happened with Ashley and taking time off. This is going to be uncomfortable. However, to my surprise, my colleagues greeted me with unexpected praise. Confused, I asked what had happened, and they explained that Ashley, once so stubborn and dismissive, had started listening to others' opinions. At first, her peers and supervisors were cautious, but gradually they began to open up to her. Days passed as I observed the change in her behavior with mild astonishment. One day, during my lunch break, after finishing my morning tasks, I was eating in the cafeteria. Usually, I bring my own lunch, but today I had classes for my distance learning program, with a major assignment coming up. I prioritized finding a place to work on it. While eating a packed lunch, as I took a bite of the sandwich I'd ordered in the cafeteria and focused on my assignment, I heard a soft voice calling my name from behind. Turning around, I saw Ashley standing there, her hair neatly tied back and looking noticeably thinner. The bold makeup and strong-willed demeanor she once carried were gone. She seemed to have undergone a complete transformation. "Please, have a seat." I closed my laptop and gestured to the empty seat beside me. She sat down, holding a water bottle in both hands, staring downward. Noah, I wanted to apologize for what happened the other day." "Apologize?" I asked in confusion. Ashley lowered her head. Looking closer, I noticed her shoulders trembling with her face turned downward. It was impossible to read her expression. What am I supposed to do? I'm terrible at dealing with silence like this. As I glanced around, trying to figure out how to handle the situation, it was Ashley who finally broke the silence. After that day, I asked my father about everything. "Honestly, I was drunk, but I couldn't shake the feeling that you were bluffing." "What did he say?" "He said the same thing you did, that you created the test. He also mentioned that the board members agreed with his decision to entrust it to you." "The board?" I asked, slightly surprised. "That's a bit exaggerated. It was just because I'm close in age to the new recruits and familiar with the current college entrance standards." My father even expressed his gratitude. I feel so ashamed for thinking that academic achievements were the most important thing. Despite feeling slightly embarrassed hearing this from Ashley, the CEO's daughter made me happy. "I've always envied you, Noah." According to her, she hadn't been looking down on me at all. In fact, she had been jealous of me. Ashley slowly began to share her story. As the eldest daughter, she had initially been raised strictly as the heir to her family's company. However, when she was 6 years old, her younger brother was born. From that point on, all of her parents' expectations shifted to her brother, leaving her feeling overlooked and ignored. To gain their approval, I poured myself into studying. That's how I got into Tokyo University. But even then, my parents were adamant about making my brother the successor. "I see," I said, nodding. "But I heard rumors that you were being groomed as the successor. Now that's because I begged them." I asked to take the entrance exam and go through interviews like any other applicant, so I could gain practical experience and prove myself worthy of the position. She spoke with a pained expression, gripping her water bottle tightly in frustration. Then, in a soft voice, she murmured something quietly. "There's no way my brother can manage a business." "Why would you say that about your brother? Even though your siblings, Noah, your siblings seem to get along so well. In my case, my brother was pampered by my parents, and as a result, he's developed the habit of blaming me for everything bad and running away from his own responsibilities." "What?" "That's why he'll never be able to manage a business. He's not the kind of person who can take on the responsibility of others' lives and lead. Right now, he's still a high schooler, but soon enough, he'll become an adult. By then, it'll be too late. That's why she had been so desperate for her father to acknowledge her. Looking like she was about to cry, Ashley's face showed signs of exhaustion, with dark circles under her eyes, as though the tension holding her together had finally snapped. She stood up slowly and bowed deeply. I was in such a rush to prove myself that I wasn't looking at those around me and ended up spinning my wheels. Your words yesterday opened my eyes. Like this, I'm not suited to be a CEO either. As she apologized, she seemed so small and fragile, a far cry from the strong-willed person she usually was. I should have listened to her more and offered support when she needed it. That thought crossed my mind unconsciously as I gently told her, "Please, raise your head." Her eyes were already brimming with tears, ready to spill at any moment. I handed her my handkerchief and said, "If you're okay with it, I'll listen to your concerns and help you with anything you don't understand. Let's work hard together." "Yes, thank you, Noah." "Don't mention it. I've been hearing a lot about how hard you've been trying lately. Everyone's noticed it. It would be such a waste to give up now." I said that knowing all I could do was offer her gentle encouragement, but she told me that those words alone had saved her. From then on, Ashley's demeanor changed drastically. The tense expression she usually wore was replaced with a calmer, more relaxed one, as if a weight had been lifted from her shoulders. Even her colleagues and supervisors noticed the change, and the workplace atmosphere became noticeably more pleasant. Ashley smiled more often now, making her easier to talk to, and I found myself enjoying our conversations. Our relationship also began to change. Outside of work, she started helping me prepare for my university entrance exams, essentially becoming my tutor. Perhaps because of her experience with her younger brother, she was great with kids, and my siblings quickly grew attached to her. "Hey, Noah, how's Ashley doing lately?" Good morning, Mr. Moore." One day, I found myself sharing an elevator with CEO Moore, who asked this right away. "Ashley. She's gotten used to the work and has been building great relationships with our new clients." "I see. Compared to before, she's much more approachable now." "Yes, it's a result of her hard work, I believe." As expected. As you, Noah. You've been keeping a close eye on her, haven't you?" "What?" His cryptic comment left me flustered, and he gave me a hearty pat on the back, looking pleased. Dad. No, Mr. Moore." "Oh, Ashley. Heading to a meeting?" "Yes. What about you? What are you doing here?" "Just telling Noah to keep taking care of you. After all, you seem to like him quite a lot. You even said you'd like him as your husband, didn't you? Right, Noah?" Caught off guard by the sudden turn in conversation, I froze in place with a smile. Mr. Moore stepped out of the elevator, leaving the two of us alone. Feeling embarrassed, I couldn't bring myself to look at Ashley, who seemed just as flustered. You really might become the CEO of this company someday. Her playful yet meaningful smile left me no choice but to surrender. Still, if that future does come to pass, I'd like to be the one supporting her every step of the way. "I guess you're not needed here. It's not your place at the headquarters. Select between being sent to the country or losing your job." The department head, a National University alumnus, made this abrupt announcement. "People like you who are incompetent are not needed." As he yelled at me, he had no idea that I was the only one who could play a particular role. "Then I'll take the firing." I didn't want to respond that way, but getting yelled at unfairly made me do so unintentionally. I reluctantly packed up my things and departed from the company. The department head examined the materials for our client the following day. He looked so pale that he ended up calling me. "I'm Caleb. a 30-year-old father of kindergarten-aged daughter and spouse. I work for a planning firm in the corporate sales division. I've been employed by this company since I graduated from a trade school. Oh, Caleb, how are you? Ah, good. Caleb, you're quite reserved, aren't you? Yeah, I might be a bit hard to approach. I kept working at the headquarters, but I've never been good at interacting with others and always get anxious when I do. I became less communicative and naturally avoided conversations as a result. I felt as though I was working in a department all by myself as a result of not interacting with other staff members very much. Well, Caleb is very conscientious and produces flawless work. He is someone we can easily rely on. Because I took my work seriously, others around me thought highly of my conscientiousness. After all, I was only preoccupied with my work. Without indulging in useless chat, I devoted myself to my task from dawn till evening. I've arrived home. Caleb, how was your day? Hi, Daddy. My darling wife Madison and my darling daughter Erivo would greet me at home. Adorable handcrafted items adorn our home, including a little lamp with a slightly mysterious feel, stitched animal paintings on the wall, keychains shaped like particular anime characters hanging on a corkboard, and a cuddly cat waiting to meet us at the door. Vibrant watercolors exquisitely embellished the handcrafted items. I'll start preparing dinner now. Ah, I see. I'm grateful. I'll assist as well, Mom. Then shall we set the placemats together? Yes. My daughter would adore the adorable motifs embroidered on the tablecloths that were set out for dinner. Yes, my daughter was ecstatic to see this for the first time. I want to take this to kindergarten. That could be a little difficult. You could lose it if you take it outside. Let's leave it where it belongs. Okay, got it. That my daughter agreed and understood made me happy. We also have toys that are meant to teach her the letters and numbers. This includes wooden blocks with letters engraved onto them and felt toys shaped like letters. My kindergarten-aged daughter has been enjoying learning her letters thanks to these toys. But it's not like we're forcing her into an early learning program or anything. That's the kind of approach we're adopting. We're just thrilled if she can learn while playing. Similar to this, my wife doesn't appear to push our daughter too much while teaching her while they play together. In a cozy and caring environment, our daughter is developing nicely. Daddy, I want this doll. Let me see. Oh, this one is fine. Don't spoil Ava too much. I am aware. It serves as a prize for receiving appreciation in kindergarten. Well, if that's the case, then it's okay. Even though I don't talk much at work, I can have lively discussions at home. I've been employed by the organization for a respectable amount of time, but I don't have a specific role. Having said that, I have little interest in moving up the corporate ladder. As long as I can carry out my current responsibilities, I'm happy. I think I'm a fantastic fit for my career. I can focus once I get going, which makes my time at the company rewarding and pleasurable. I was happy enough to wish to stay in my current position till I retired. Everything was suddenly disrupted by an occurrence that happened just when work and family life were both gratifying. I'll be taking over as the department head here as of today. I'm Kevin, and I'm excited to collaborate with each of you. Kevin was brought in as the new department head as part of the staff reshuffle. It's a reality that less educated people are incapable of performing meaningful jobs. However, individuals who graduate from prestigious universities, particularly those who hold a bachelor's degree, usually go on to achieve outstanding work. It was well known that Kevin valued academic credentials. It appears that he is a Harvard graduate himself. Some staff at the headquarters merely held the high school diploma or a vocational school certificate. Nonetheless, the majority of the staff members in our department have university degrees. I was apparently one of the few people with a vocational diploma, and it looked like Kevin was targeting me. Hi, Caleb. This is the boss. Be careful to give him a decent greeting. Yes, I did, though your voice was too soft. Kevin began to make fun of me for everything. This graduate of vocational school should really try consulting with me. The way he works alone and in silence is eerie. He didn't seem to like the fact that I mostly worked alone and without asking for directions. Don't worry about it too much, Caleb. A coworker told me, yes, Kevin prefers subordinates who consult him, which made sense. He might give me a severe look and sneer, but I've completed this work, Kevin. What action should I take next? Next you should. Juniors would come to him for advice on everything, and he would smile and offer them kind directions. He was quite simple to grasp, in a way. There are things that only Caleb can do, after all. Thank you. I'd better get back to work now to avoid getting scowled at as well. After saying hello to the coworker who shared this with me, I concentrated on my own task. Yes, I was the only one assigned certain chores here. All I had to do was focus on those. I assumed Kevin would grow weary of meddling in my affairs eventually. But as time went on, I would see that this was a foolish assumption. The planner lineup for the upcoming fiscal year was being discussed one day by the corporate sales department. Employee planners are our primary product line. Using samples, we made sales pitches to major organizations, asking, "How about this design for your company's planners next year?" We had to devise different plans for each client because their requirements differ. For example, some clients require waterproofing, while others choose smaller sizes or only dust-free solutions. The meetings consequently had a tendency to drag on. I was going along with my usual work with diligence, while everyone else was engrossed in this. My jobs were specific, therefore I wasn't obligated to attend meetings, so it's not like I was skipping them. I therefore continued to concentrate on my work throughout those sessions. "Hey, what are you doing, Caleb?" "What? Why don't you attend the meeting instead of participating?" That was meant to be common knowledge. But for some reason, Kevin came to me with a complaint. "While everyone in the department is struggling in the meeting, what are you doing?" I couldn't understand Kevin's irrational objection. I hesitantly said, "I'm just doing my job," in response to Kevin's menacing tone. I've been instructed by previous department heads to prioritize my tasks over meetings. Kevin scowled when I told this to him. Kevin gave this a scornful sneer after hearing it. "I see, so you're incompetent, and that's why the previous department heads told you it's okay not to come to the meetings." I was too slow to realize what he was saying and missed the opportunity to correct him, but it sounded like a misunderstanding. This explains why graduates of vocational schools are unable to perform quality work. Sincerely, you are not required. At the head office, you are not required. Select between being demoted to the countryside or being fired. What was said shocked me. Was I going to be fired or sent to the country for simply carrying out my duties? People like you, who are incompetent, are not needed. I started to respond, but more yelling interrupted, rendering me unintelligible once more. "Go on, make a decision. Demoted or fired?" My innate shyness kept me from coming up with the perfect phrase. "Fired or demoted?" Then, "Fired?" "What?" Kevin gave a smirk. "I'll take being fired." Being screened caused me to react instinctively. "So, you're cool with getting fired? Then, someone as incompetent as you need to quit the organization right away. Then, I'll resign." Even though it was a natural reaction, I was unable to carry on working as before after receiving such a severe reprimand. I made the decision to quit there and there. It was decided, and I was let go. I packed everything and departed from the company. Finally got rid of that useless dead weight. I sagged my shoulders as I walked out, hearing Kevin's voice again. Now what should I do? I was thinking about the future and how I was going to explain this to my family. Ultimately, having failed to think of a sensible strategy, I chose to be sincere and went inside the house. "Daddy." "Hey, glad to see you again. Are you not at home early today?" Though taken aback, my family gave me a warm welcome and allowed me to return home early. I could feel the tears rising on their faces. "What's wrong, Caleb? Are you sad, Daddy?" Eva and Madison inquired. I got fired." My wife was taken aback when I uttered this in a quivering voice, but she instantly comforted me. "Take a seat first. Tell me everything now." Then, despite wanting to cry, I tried not to cry as I described all that had happened with Kevin. "You've had a difficult time, I see. You've put in a lot of effort thus far. Daddy, you did your best, right?" Eva patted my head and Madison gave me a hug. "I'm really sorry." "It's okay. Now that it's come to this, take some time to rest." "But what about the living expenses?" "Never fear. I'll ask my manager to let me work more shifts because we have some savings." My spouse offered to work longer hours as a part-time employee in order to temporarily pay for our living expenses. In return, could you take care of dropping off and picking up Eva? Obviously. Is Daddy going to arrive? Indeed. I can now spend more time with my father, yay. When my daughter learned that she would be spending more time with me, she was overjoyed. I was thankful that my family was able to move forward so positively after I was fired. Thank you both. It is insignificant. That reminds me, huh? My spouse got up and returned with a flyer. What's this? A planetarium. Yes, Eva said she wanted to go with you. Is that accurate? Would you like to accompany me to the planetarium tomorrow, Eva? Yes, I want to go. Then, please take care of Eva tomorrow. Understood. Meanwhile, back in the division I had previously left. Where is Caleb at this time? Without him, we are unable to continue. Everyone who had left the meeting a few hours later was gawking around in shock. Apparently, they were perplexed as to why they couldn't locate me, given my importance to the department. Was it because he wasn't feeling good that he left early? However, everything he had on his desk has vanished. That is accurate. What took place? Everyone decided to ask Kevin where I was as they started to get worried and realized that my personal belongings were missing. I fired that incompetent ha-ha. When questioned about the circumstances, Kevin laughed as though he had done a great job. His coworkers looked shocked and pallid as a result. That is not appropriate. They begged Kevin to please revoke the termination immediately, but it was already too late. They couldn't get in touch with me because I had already left the company and we hadn't shared personal contact information. Yes, I did have a work phone, but it was on my desk. Why hold on to someone who is incapable of attending meetings at all? Isn't that equivalent to pay theft? You have no idea how much money is worth. Kevin was perplexed as Brandon, the section manager, presented him documentation pertaining to handling a significant client. The documents dealt with delivery terms for a significant customer. I was expected to perform the initial manual embroidery as stipulated in the employee handbooks for managerial positions. What? Caleb's name was asked for. Kevin inquired, perplexed. You're new to the transfer, so it's understandable that you didn't know, Brandon responded. Then, multiple additional documents with similar criteria from different clients were delivered to Kevin, who was beginning to feel confused. Kevin started to tremble visibly as he saw this. What is this? Kevin shouted. Since you were recently transferred, we were going to meet to brief you on the issue, but this didn't work out. Caleb is genuinely indispensable to this organization. I was one of the few people in the company with unusual leather stitching talents, and there weren't many like me anywhere in the U.S. You may appreciate the elegance of his first embroidery with just one glance. It's quite amazing, Brandon said. Naturally, I changed the fonts to accommodate requirements from our clients. In addition to using already existing fonts, I also made unique fonts for embroidery according to client requirements. My employment required such specific knowledge that I didn't get to know other staff very well. I hadn't been at the meeting either. Even if I did show up to meetings, though, the material would remain mostly the same. Furthermore, if I didn't work on embroidery during those periods, I honestly wouldn't be able to make delivery deadlines, Caleb said. Fortunately, many clients requested me by name, leading to a backlog of orders. Not at all. Brandon stated, call them now would be pointless. Caleb values his family time, so he generally doesn't take calls. Kevin paled as he realized he had made a mistake in firing me. Kevin must have tried to call me numerous times the following day, but my phone was off because I was spending the rare weekday off with my daughter at the planetarium. How come he won't respond? Caleb, please pick up. Kevin was allegedly really angry. I learned later from a coworker how hard it was to get Kevin to calm down. It was stunning. Hooray. Daddy, are you able to create those sparkles? My daughter yelled, not realizing what was going on. As we were leaving the planetarium, I noticed a lot of voicemails from the company, which startled me. My kid said, "What's wrong, Daddy?" "Nothing," I answered. I chose to play a single voicemail, and it came from Kevin. "Please come back. My apologies," was the statement. With statements like, "I didn't understand the scope of your work," he exuded a real sense of regret. "I saw the increased worth of your work after viewing the trading documents. I'm so sorry." He obviously understood and felt bad about what he had done to my work. Daddy has to call someone. Ava, could you spend some time reading a picture book? I inquired. She grinned and began reading a picture book on a neighboring bench. Okay, sure, she exclaimed. I returned the call to the business. I sincerely apologize, Caleb, Kevin said. Yes, please accept my apologies. But I'm taking paid leave since I agreed to spend a lot of time with my daughter this week. Next week, I'll be back, I answered. Are you returning? Many thanks for it. Relieved, Kevin said. Kevin, who had been nothing but bothersome up until now, apologized profusely, and I stopped the call. Come on, Ava, let's go out to eat today, I stated. Congrats. A hamburger is what I want. Ava gave a cheer. All right, let's go then. We went to a hamburger restaurant, and I held my daughter's hand. I'm home. When we got back, I made an announcement. Hello, Mom. Hello, Madison. Did you enjoy yourself? With excitement, Ava said. She answered, Yes, it was fun. That's good, my spouse responded. When my wife came home from her part-time work, I gave her a detailed explanation of the entire situation. Hey, you're laughing excessively. As my wife started laughing, I said, You need to have scolded the obnoxious man, asking him, Do you even realize how valuable the embroidery that only I can do? As if I were able to say that, I chuckled. My wife was still grinning broadly, and I found myself laughing too. You exhibit excessive modesty. You ought to boast more about your abilities, she remarked, giving me another hug. But maybe if I had communicated more with Kevin, this whole termination fiasco might not have happened, I thought. With an adorable inclination of her head, my daughter said, Daddy, are you going to do a lot of embroidery from now on? Indeed. Planners featuring Daddy's needlework are used by influential individuals across America, my wife stated with pride as she held our daughter. When I start elementary school, you'll embroider my planner too, right? Asking, Ava. Of course. Congrats. A cute one, please. Sure, it's a promise. With great pleasure, I pledged myself to my daughter, who was later given to me by my spouse. My wife seemed a little agitated as she hurried to make the call. Oh, I asked the manager to increase my shifts, but I need to cancel that now. However, everyone was enjoying themselves. Is it because of me? I pondered, feeling thankful to my family once more for never complaining even though they were forced into my predicaments. I want to thank you both. In the future, I must value this family even more. Daddy, I want a cute pattern on the shell of Slimy. Ava pointed to a toy snail I had stuffed for her. When I handed it to her, she was overjoyed, and it soon became her favorite. I made all the handmade crafts and toys in our household, including Slimy. Yes, Caleb, that's excellent. Your father is not quite as skilled as you are. My grandmother used to say, "You're a pleasure to teach." My grandmother taught me the technique at a young age. She was a skilled seamstress and leather worker. In addition, I attended a sewing vocational school where I studied methodically, which greatly enhanced my embroidery skills. I eventually got skilled in every facet of sewing. Out of all of these, my leather embroidery work caught my attention and ultimately became my career. After the president of my present company saw the pieces I had made while attending vocational school, she expressed a strong desire for me to become a member of her team and extended an offer of employment. For the record, my father is not at all clumsy. Whoa, that is incredible. My father used to say, "I'm good at making these kinds of crafts, but I can't do embroidery like your grandma can." Rather than stitching, my father's pastime was creating handicrafts out of materials like wood. I therefore learned how to make the lamps and constructing pieces from my father. Nevertheless, I like needlework better. I get into my own universe when I'm embroidering because it absorbs me completely. Finished. That's exactly like the cartoon version, as asked by my daughter. I customized Slimy, the snail plush, with embroidery to match a well-known cartoon character's outfit. Thank you, Daddy. Thank you so much. Let's play with Slimy, Daddy. Sure, let's do that. While my kid was having fun with Slimy, I pulled out another one of my handcrafted plush toys. My wife said, "Let me join too," and grabbed another plush animal. We had a great time together, which made the week worthwhile. Caleb has returned. Thank goodness. When I came back to work the following week, I was greeted with cheers from everyone, including Kevin. Thinking with a hint of embarrassment, this is a bit much, I looked away as Kevin walked up to me. "I apologize for the error in my work. I made a mistake," he said emphatically. "It's all right now." "I really apologize. I'm grateful," he remarked. And so, just like before Kevin's transfer, I was back in a calm place where I could concentrate on my work. Actually, with everyone's help, my work went much more smoothly than it had previously. I'm sorry. Would you like to have a drink somewhere sometime? A meal is okay if you abstain from alcohol. Let me treat you, please. One day, we finished earlier than expected, and Kevin offered me to stay after work. Well, it could be difficult at first for the two of us alone. What if everyone in the department did this? I recommended. Since then, Kevin had calmed down a lot. Given that he was displaying care at this point, he must not be a horrible person in general. Kevin and I decided to grab drinks together as a department after I nodded to him. I'm really sorry about everything that happened. I've heard it many times now, so no need for any more apologies. I know I have a short temper and tend to yell at people too quickly, Kevin acknowledged. He appeared to be conscious of his own problems. I always want to be kinder, but I ended up acting quite hostilely toward you. I sincerely apologize for that. It's actually all right now. The more you apologize, the worse the drink will be. Kevin said with an uneasy laugh, "Yeah, you're right." Since we first met, I had received numerous apology calls, and to be honest, I was sick of hearing them. A coworker said, "About that, we wanted to apologize too," during our conversation. "We believed you would eventually work things out on your own, Caleb, and we were too preoccupied with our own work to step in. We did not fully explain anything. We sincerely apologize. We also had some responsibility for this." With a laugh, I responded, "It's okay." As I saw my coworkers apologize, I felt sorry for them. Everyone grinned back, relieved, and the mood of the drinking party picked up speed. "I've observed your needlework. It's very lovely." Someone inquired, "How long have you been doing it?" "Since my early years. I learned from my grandmother." "Is that accurate?" You know, born into it. Caleb, I used to think you were hard to get close to. But now that I'm talking to you, you seem regular. I'm not sure what you mean by normal, but I guess I've always been told I'm a bit different. I comprehend that in a vague way. It's crucial that we share our emotions like this over a drink, he stated. It seemed like a significant encounter. Upon arriving home, I informed my wife right away, and she was waiting for me. That's excellent. It's important to have those moments where you can express your opinion sometimes. Yeah, I understood that well. You do have an aura that makes it hard for people to approach you, you know. Do I? Indeed. You know how nervous you get when you speak to people. Perhaps that is conveyed to the other person, she remarked. Her remarks opened my eyes to something. Perhaps I developed that reputation because I avoided conversation. Actually, I was nervous when I first met you too, she said. Is that so? It was at our vocational school days that I met my wife. That being said, our interests were slightly different. I liked sewing, while she preferred design. Caleb. Huh. I noticed that you embroidered. I was immediately enamored with it and yearned to view more of your creations. We began dating when she approached me because she was attracted to my needlework. Even though she only works part-time now, she still helps me out with embroidery fonts and ideas for the next stuffed animal I should make. Have you ever thought about doing design work? Not really. My time with you and Ava is more valuable now. When Ava gains greater independence, perhaps my opinions will shift, I remarked. My spouse grinned. She has also helped me to polish my sense of style. I'm really happy. Why? I am aware of how amazing you and your stitching are. It brings me joy to know that your colleagues now recognize that as well, she remarked. It was me who gave my wife the hug this time. After we discussed it the next day, I declared, Daddy and I want to have a drinking party too. My wife answered, That might be a bit too soon for you, Ava. When my wife and I heard that I went out for drinks and that my daughter wanted to go too, we couldn't help but laugh. Okay then, let's have a little party with some juice when Dad gets home today. Happy days. Come home early, Daddy. Ava gave a cheer. Hey, I see now. I suppose I should head home quickly today. Caleb, good morning. Hello, good morning, I answered. Good morning, Caleb. Something positive occurs. You're grinning. I shared my opinions with my kid because they were clear and easy for my coworkers to read at work. What a sweetheart you are, Caleb. Don't you genuinely love and cherish your family? So, should today be our goal to have no overtime? I laughed and said, Well, we'd better get to work then, and everyone else joined in. As it turned out, I was able to leave work early without working extra. I've grown even more committed to my work because of the department's improvement over the previous one. Brandon, it's okay to appreciate what you do, but don't go overboard. Please remember to take breaks. I brought it up to him. The section chief, Brandon, brought me some coffee. He often complimented me on my needlework, claiming it was priceless. Brandon, I'm sorry about what happened to you as well. I'm over-worrying about it now. I assumed as much. Here's a large order from a significant business, he stated. I'm grateful. I'll get to work on it immediately. Don't rush. Go at your own speed. That's what adds even more beauty to your stitching. Many thanks, I replied, full of motivation to put in a lot of effort for folks who valued my needlework so much. I resumed my embroidery work, thinking, okay, maybe I'll make another plush toy for my daughter once I take a break. I'm going now. Be careful. Daddy, goodbye. I said goodbye to my wife and daughter and headed off to work. Hello. Good morning. I sat down at my workstation after saying hello to my coworkers. All right, so I'm going through a bunch of leather again today, stitch by stitch, adding a name to each piece. These diaries were made with love and care, and I hope the people who use them will appreciate that. Someone can find joy in the job I've been doing since the early days. Getting to use my strengths at work makes me happy, and I cherish it. Caleb, this is the events calendar for the company. Oh, I'm grateful. Your needlework is consistently exquisite. We are able to complete ours because of your labor. You seem to be overstating things, I grinned. I've been navigating interactions with folks I used to avoid at the same time. I'd also plan to gradually get over this. Although I'm still unable to strike up a discussion, I have begun to converse briefly with Kevin and the other staff members. I like that no one rushes when they speak to me. That's helped me become progressively less tense. Daddy, I want to wear this dress to a party the next time. A dress, really? Let me handle it. I have a beautiful matching dress idea. The design my wife had in mind was really appreciated by my daughter. Hi, Daddy. Yes. I wish I could embroider like my dad. Will you instruct me? Obviously. I would be delighted to. My daughter may surpass me in needlework if she takes inspiration from my wife's fashion sense and my abilities. However, she is free to decide that. What's that paper? Inquired my spouse. This is the company event schedule. It features a summertime cool-off party that I haven't been to in a long time. But perhaps it's time to participate once more, I answered, giving it some thought. Then, after around 10 years, I was able to improve my needlework even more. I'm well known all around the world now. Regarding my daughter, she declared, I want to make plush toys like the ones Dad made for me, and she went on to become a well-known high school student who produces one-of-a-kind plush toys all over the world. My family and coworkers who began interacting with me were the reason I was able to continue in this manner. I approach my needlework job today bearing this in mind.